Binge eating disorder affects all of us differently. We all crave different foods and we all have different triggers. Some of the common triggers are stress, some other emotional reaction to something, being around your trigger foods, and also being presented with your trigger foods. My Instagram Explore page is actually particularly bad for that. But I have had a few moments where I've actually had binges triggered by something completely random, completely out of the blue, and completely unexpected. Here are my 5 most unusual ones. Number 1, listening to a podcast about stopping binge eating. I've really got into podcasts in the last couple of years, and I was thrilled to discover there are a few around binge eating disorder that are designed to help you with it. I was a little bit horrified or disturbed, or whatever the right word is here, to discover that listening to people talking about their binge eating disorder and their actions of eating was actually starting to trigger cravings and binges in me. It's weird because I can listen to people talk about food without any problem. I can listen to people talk about eating without any problem. When I listen to people talk about the physical action of eating foods, it seems to trigger cravings in me. So I've been listening to this podcast and then suddenly have this huge craving for just something completely random. The first time it happened, I didn't connect the two. I just thought it was a one-off. Second time it happened, I thought it was a little bit weird. Third time, I was just confused. Fourth time it happened, I started to make the connection. And fifth time is kind of where I figured out this is actually an issue. I still don't know why it happens, but I've had to be a lot more mindful of what I put into my ears now. Second on my list is after exercising. I suppose it's not that uncommon because you're tired, your blood sugar is going to be hit, the glycogen in your muscles is going to be depleted, so your body will want something. But for me, there have been times where I'd go from, rather than just eating something that's going to support my recovery and get back the fuel I just burned off, to eating literally anything and everything I can get my hands on. I guess there is part of it which is down to that sort of reward center in the brain saying you've just burned off a load of calories, you need more, but not to the extent of the calories I was taking in when I would binge after exercise. I've been able to stop this one fairly early on. My post-workout meal is pretty much set in stone now. It's a protein shake blended with the banana and 15 grams of dark chocolate. And because it's fixed and tangible and I've made it a habit now, my brain doesn't really question it. So I've been able to kind of nip that one in the bud. Next, the day after a binge. This one hasn't happened to me in a while, but in the early days, there were occasions where the day after a binge, I would actually just binge again because of how I felt from the first binge. I mean, the day after binge, if you're feeling guilty, if you're feeling a little bit of shame, you're feeling stressed, you're feeling self-loathing, your brain is primed from those emotions to want to do something about it. And if you are dealing with binge eating disorder, binge eating might actually be one of its go-to solutions. In my case, it was also that feeling of failure. It was that feeling of having messed up the previous day. So that self-loathing kind of constantly played on my mind. And that led to looking at food to try and overcome that. I can't really explain how, but consecutive days of binging was very, very rare for me. So I didn't have to explore this one too much or come up with another solution for it, but it did happen. Next is when I get called skinny. I could probably go on for hours and hours about my issues and my history with weight and body image, but that's a whole separate tangent. Just suffice it to say that we need to unpack a lot. But despite being at a healthy BMI, despite being at a moderate to low body fat percentage, and in most places fitting into a size small t-shirt, I still feel like I'm in a constant battle for losing weight. I don't really know why, but I guess it's just an ingrained condition at the moment. So that is something else I'll be working on, just not at this immediate moment. So when someone compliments me and says I've lost weight or I look slim, 2 things kind of happen in my head. Number 1 is that because I feel like I've made progress, for lack of a better word, I feel like I can get away with the binge or with less nutritional discipline. And number 2 is that for some reason I also start to question if I've lost too much weight too quickly. And I end up trying to increase my calories a bit, screw up my nutrition plan, and end up binging. And last one on the list, when I feel too happy. Yeah, this one's a hard one to explain. I think when I'm in a setting where I feel comfortable and relaxed and everyone around me is feeling comfortable and relaxed and enjoying food freedom, I get on board with that as well. And I think somewhere in the back of my mind, I think, okay, I'm going to enjoy this freedom tonight. And because I'm not going to do it tomorrow, let me just make the most of it now. So then that eventually leads to a binge. It's not the same kind of way I would do it as I would when I'm on my own at home, but it does still happen. It's happened to me at Christmas, it's happened to me at Easter, it's happened to me at weddings. I actually remember I went to a wedding once and I was traveling there and back on my own and I was driving. And I was fine going there, I was fine there, and then I got to dessert and I had a lot. And on the 30-minute drive home, I had to stop the car twice and get out and walk around just because of how uncomfortable I was feeling in my stomach. So yeah, apparently when I'm happy and relaxed, I've also been prone to binges before. Those are what I would probably call my most unusual binge triggers. If you have any that you'd like to share, please do feel free to let me know as well.